All right, guys, so something that I've started doing recently is doing the axle twist lines just before I put the axle shafts back in. I wasn't able to make the video earlier for the carrier, like my other post said, when I put the rear carrier in, because they were cutting trees down right outside the garage door. But they're done now, so I'm going to make a video for the axle shafts, and then I'll circle back around for installing the carrier and doing the lash and the gear pattern when I do the front end. It's exactly the same. So we're not missing anything. But just one important thing to note, for the non-Rubicon, non-axle or non-locker Dana 44s, the one without the locker, the axle shafts are the same length. If you have a locker, they are not the same length. So if you break one on the trail and your buddy wants to borrow or lend you an axle shaft from the parking lot to get you off the trail, make sure you pull the right side. You can see that the flanges are even here. The driver's side is just a hair shorter, right? And the passenger side is obviously a hair longer. But so just keep that in mind. If you break a driver's side shaft on a Rubicon, and you need a driver's side shaft or vice versa to help get you off the trail, or for whatever reason to help you get you home, make sure you either buy the right side, the right one. If you see them on Craigslist or something, or Facebook Marketplace or whatever, just make sure you're getting the right side. If you have a locker, the shafts are different lengths, and this is true with the JK as well. If you have a Rubicon, they're different lengths, and the non-Rubicon Dana 44s are the same length, so they're interchangeable. These are not. So, as far as drawing lines on the axle shaft, this is something that's been done for a long time in the racing community, even the off-road community. It's just a really easy way to inspect your shafts, and it's not always just the splines from the engagement point out on the spider gear that twists. The shaft will twist too if you're not careful, or you may never see it. Most of the time it breaks on this end anyway, but it really depends on how hard you hit something and how much bouncing you're doing, and where the weak point moves from one point to another, depending on what you're doing. So in order to draw lines on it, it's very simple, very easy. What I do is I just use a paint pen, and I mark P for passenger. I'll mark this one for driver, but I just use a regular old paint pen. Clean the axle shafts with acetone, so they're nice and dry and clean. And then I just run 2 lines of electrical tape from one end to the other. You can use any kind of tape you got. I just usually have a shitload of electrical tape handy. Just run it from one end to the other and run 2 strips with a small gap in the middle. Paint the middle, wait a minute for the paint to dry, and peel the tape off, and that's all there is to it. And it's just an easy way to inspect the shaft. If you ever have to take the shafts out for any reason, or do any differential work or whatever. And I'll do the same thing with the front shafts when we get there. But just a handy little tip. Other than that, I'm gonna put these shafts in. I'm gonna finish up the rear end, all but servicing, and then pot the rear diff sensor tonight, and call it a night. And we'll start with the front tomorrow. All right, see you guys.